Hey, hello everybody. Hello. My name is Dan Duran and I'm the host of the Tech Lounge. And here we discuss topics related to business, entrepreneurship, and cybersecurity. And today we're going to be talking about how to become a hacker in 2022. So hello everybody. Make sure you follow us using the hashtag Dan Duran and subscribe to my channel, GetCyber, on YouTube. Also, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook and LinkedIn. Hello, Andrew Summerton, the president and CEO of Rhino Cybersecurity. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Dan. How are you, bud? Good to see you.
Doing fantastic. Now, sit back and relax. This is the Tech Lounge. Little laugh in there. All right. So, Andrew, this show is very dear to me. Very dear to me and to us, because this is something that, guys, we do every day at Rhino Cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
Maybe you can explain, first of all, people need to know what is ethical hacking and penetration testing. What is it?
Absolutely. I mean, there's kind of a stigma out there about hackers. So there's really three kinds of hackers. There's a black hatter, there's a white hat, and there's a gray hat. And so, you know, us at Rhino Cybersecurity, we're ethical hackers. So we're hired by organizations to hack their systems to, you know, identify vulnerabilities so they can go in and fix them. So what happens a lot of the time, you know, a black hatter will go in, they will exploit information, and then they will hold a client for ransom by putting them, you know, by finding out where they're vulnerable, and then again holding them for ransom and asking for some kind of money to release their information. Where a white hat like ourselves at Rhino Cybersecurity, we're hired to go in, do an assessment, find and identify those vulnerabilities, recommend suggestions how to fix them, so it mitigates risk. So those black hatters go in and it's a lot harder for them to gain access and be able to hack clients. Then you have gray hat, which I know you're going to go into, Dan. It's kind of a mixture between both black and white. You mix them together and you get gray. These guys go in without authorization. They find vulnerabilities and then they tell the clients, and they expect some type of compensation or ask some kind of compensation to share that information with them. So
yeah, or sometimes they work at a company. They work at a cybersecurity company. During the day, they're doing good stuff. During the night, they're attacking servers and doing bad stuff, right? So those are gray hat. So cybersecurity is a huge field. Right? You got so much stuff. You know, you have software, you have hardware, you have computers, you have network security, you have infrastructure, cloud, so many things. So ethical hacking is just one part of it. It's the more exciting part, you know, like the one that's flashier, right? But it's just one part of cybersecurity.
Well, you know what, Dan? I know how near and dear it is to you. And the reason it's so important, and I just to tap into that point. Cybersecurity has so many layers, and you use this analogy all the time, like it's like an onion. But there's third-party services that are automated. You know, you plug and play, you forget, you hope it's protected, etc. But the real people component, like where you get ethical hacking, where you get real people working on it, real people identifying vulnerabilities or doing penetration tests, gives you that real interaction, that what's like the real life stuff of what's going on. And I think that's really, really important. And again, as you said, really fun for people who love to do it.
Yeah. So who do we have in the crowd? So guys, if you're out there, say hello, send a shout out. Who do we have? We have Kevin Fan. He says, hi. Hey, Kevin, how are you doing? Who else do we have?
Sonia. Hey, guys.
Sonia
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Changiz. Hello, Changiz.
How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Thanks for the support. You're always here, and we love it.
Hello, Oscar. Alexander Leslie.
There he is. Hey, Alex. He mentioned, we were talking to Alex this morning, actually. He said he was going to come. So good to see you, Alex.
Alex came to me for recommendations on what to do, how to become a cybersecurity expert, basically. And I gave him some really good hints and tips. And he's taking, A+, like the very beginning basics in IT, information technology, and to then advance in our company for cybersecurity. So kudos to you, Alex. Who else do we have online?
Sean. Oh, there's Sean. Hey, Sean, how are you, bud? It's been a long time. We got to see you. We got to see you one of the days.
Yes. Adrian is
Sean, just so you know out there, Sean has, you got to hear him talk. Sean has the amazing radio voice. He's got a face
yes,
for radio.
he absolutely does.
No, he's got an amazing voice for radio.
All right, so let's hello, Gabriela. Let's talk a little bit about how this show came about, right? So basically, let me just show you real quick. This is one of the TikToks that I put probably a couple of days ago, and it's about cybersecurity. So let's hear it. Cybersecurity expertise protects our most important and private information, from bank accounts to sensitive military communications. However, there is a dangerous shortage of cybersecurity workers in the United States that puts our digital privacy and infrastructure at risk. From May 2021 through April 2022, there were 180,000 openings for information security analysts, but only 141,000 workers currently employed in those positions. An annual talent shortfall of 39,000 workers for cybersecurity's largest job. There are 535,000 additional openings requesting cybersecurity-related skills, and employers are struggling to find workers who possess them. It's time to start thinking about a career in cybersecurity. Entering the field of cybersecurity may seem daunting, but rest assured, there are many pathways to getting started. Yeah, so this is a clip that I put on TikTok a couple of days ago, and these are the comments that I got. So the first one is abortion survivor. She says, or he says, where to start? That's the first thing. Where the heck do we start, right? And Regis, so kudos to Regis. He puts a comment in there. He says, cybersecurity is one of them fields nobody knows how to or to where to get started. We all end up doing software development. It's easier to get into software development, right? Either web development or software. But cybersecurity is one of those things where you go like, what the heck? It's so exciting. It sounds exciting. The pay sounds like it's quite a bit. But where do I start? Where do I start? And that's why we're doing the show. You are doing the show for you, so you learn where to start, right? So, and take it from us, because we are a cybersecurity company. I mean, we have 30 employees in our roster in our company, BWire Technologies and Rhino Cybersecurity, and I personally manage as the chief technology officer and risk advisor. I manage a group of cybersecurity analysts, experts, as well as penetration testers. We do penetration testing pretty much every day in the company, and working for some billion-dollar companies. It's not an easy task, right? So these are really, it's not just a content creator or a YouTube, influencer looking for information on Google. This is actual real life experience that we're going to give you today. Is that right, Andrew?
Absolutely. And you know what, to Reggie's comment about, becoming a software developer, it's funny because BWire Technologies, we're a technology company, and a lot of our team members are developers and software developers. And we morphed into cybersecurity about 5-6 years ago. And there's a lot of synergies between having that foundation and then going into cybersecurity.
Yes. All right. So, those stats are in the States, and they also apply in Canada. There is a shortage of cybersecurity specialists. And the first thing that I would recommend you to do is to go to cyberseek.org. And this is a really good map. So an interactive map. And this is for people that are in the States, right? So in terms of, for example, you can see here, 714,000 job openings in cybersecurity in the States, right? And then you can see actually filtered by state, and then it gives you the location density in here, as well as what you need to do, right? So, for example, operate and maintain, oversee and govern, protect and defend, all of that good stuff. Right. And it's amazing. It's really, really good. But then the other one that I want you to pay attention to for you, all of you who are in Canada, is this one right here. This is pretty amazing. So this is basically the path, your career path, right? So if you go into penetration testing, so ethical hacking, you'll see that the path is right here, right?
Dan, just share, or maybe Gladstone, if you could share that website for, again, just so people can see it, because I know there's some questions on some new people who have joined and they're asking about, the roadmap to this industry, et cetera. So this is a great site to go to.
Yes, cyberseek.org. That's and look for the pathway. So here it is. So as you said, Andrew, cybersecurity is like an onion. There's so many facets to it, but the one that you want to look at is this one, penetration testing. Yeah. And penetration testing is not a beginner's field. It's more of a mid-level, not an entry field, by the way. So there's a lot of things that you need to learn before you become a penetration tester, right? Yeah. So the first thing you can see here, the average salary for a pen tester is $101,000, right? And this is from data from the States. And then there's 31,000 job openings, right? And these are the top skills that are requested. So information security, penetration testing, Linux, Python, Java, and a few other things, right? So you need to know your IT before you get into penetration testing.
Absolutely.
And
Dan, one of the questions I had, are you finish doing what you're doing? But
go ahead. What questions do we?
There's a few new people that I've noticed that are on the chat that Dan Gladstone shared, and it's true. I guess one of them is, can you introduce yourself, maybe a little bit of your background and what we do and who we are? Because again, there's a few people say, hey,
you go ahead first, Andrew, and then I'll introduce myself.
Sure. So I'm Andrew Somerton. I'm the president and CEO of Rhino Cybersecurity and BWire Technologies. My background is sales, marketing, business ownership, etc. But we've been doing this for about 14 years now through BWire Technologies, and we've been working with multiple size corporations globally, from billion-dollar corporations to startups. A lot of times companies are in the growth mode. A lot of companies are, again, expanding, and they hire.
Oh, I think Andrew just dropped off. All right, so I'm going to continue. So yes,
to either
build your just dropped off for a second.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so I was just I don't know what you got to, but so BWire Technologies is the technology side of it, and then we built and developed our own MDR, our managed detection response solution. We focus on ethical hacking, penetration, and vulnerability. With our team of, as Dan mentioned, 30 plus employees. And we do high-speed hosting and security backups, yes, as well as our MDR product. So that's me and our company a little bit in a nutshell. Dan, you're a lot more on the technical side of things.
Yes.
So maybe a little bit about you.
Absolutely. So I'm the chief technology officer here in the company, and basically I manage the operations of our staff. So I manage our cybersecurity, our MDR. We have a SOC, a 24/7 SOC, so a cybersecurity operations center that manages the security for multiple companies. And we, as Andrew alluded to, we do quite a bit of vulnerability assessments, penetration testing, and all of that good stuff. About 9 months ago, I started a channel called GetCyber, and this is just giving back to the community, and where I put a lot of videos in terms of beginners, cybersecurity, and penetration testing. So how to set up, Kali Linux on Mac M1. You can see reverse shell, DDoS, and all of that stuff. So that's basically who we are. So getting back to the CyberSeek, these are this column here. You see the entry level columns, and you have different roles that you can actually take on when you're beginning. The first one is networking. So anything that has to do with the OSI model, networking, IP addresses, ports, services, anything that has to do with communications in the internet, how your computer talks to a server out on the web, the whole internet things, right? So that's networking. There is also software development, because penetration testing is not just about the network, but it's also about software. And not just software, but websites, e-commerce websites, ERPs, CRMs, all of that stuff. You need to attack those systems to see what vulnerabilities there are out there and then be able to fix them. And then there is the whole systems engineering. You need to know systems, how Azure works, how the cloud system, for example, now they're very hot like AWS, for example. And then these are the entry level positions. You can start with a cybersecurity specialist, right? So a specialist is the person that's going to be doing, for example, managed detection and response. Very basic. The role is to see the what we call the IOCs, right? So the IOCs is the oh, I forgot. I'm drawing blanks. So the compromise, indications of compromise, right? The indications of compromise, such things as bad IP addresses. They do threat hunting on the web using, let's say, VirusTotal, for example. I don't know if you know VirusTotal. Let me just go into there, and here what they do is they enter URLs, IP addresses, hash. They can upload files and things like that to see the status of those files if they're bad IP addresses or so. So those are kind of like the first entry level positions as cybersecurity specialist. Then there is cybercrime analyst. This is like more into the forensic stuff when things happen. So, for example, there's a virus. You download the virus, you analyze what's going on with that virus, how it works, and things like that. Incident and intrusion analyst, and IT auditors. Right. So these are the entry level positions, and then to get into the penetration and vulnerability testing, right? So okay. So if we start from the beginning, if you have any questions, guys, make sure you post them on the chat, and then we'll be able to answer all of your questions. So go ahead. You're beginning with IT. You're beginning with cybersecurity. You want to be into ethical hacking. Post them in there, and then we'll answer as we go.
Absolutely.
So the first thing that I definitely 100% recommend is to know your information technology, your IT. A good, and this is actually my my learning from Udemy. I don't know if you know Udemy. You can get courses for $20. $20 for these courses. And the first things that I would look into are things like CompTIA Plus certification training. So CompTIA Plus, A Plus is basically your basic computer. So hardware, software, networks, and systems in a very, very basic level, right? So how does software works? What's the kernel inside of your operating system? What is that USB 3.1 or what is Wi-Fi standards? It's a very basic stuff. You need to know IT, information technology. Yeah. So you can see I've taken these are really cheap courses. This guy here, he's amazing, phenomenal instructor, Mike Mayers. He has a few certification courses, starting with the CompTIA A Plus, then working your way into Network Plus. I mean, as I said before, you need to know anything that has to do with the IP, TCP/IP model in terms of networking, OSI model, layers. What are your layers? Like from layer 1 all the way to layer 7. He also has Security Plus in there. So I've taken all of these courses, by the way, Andrew.
Yeah, no, and you know what's really great about this, Dan? I mean, I just want to kind of throw this out there to you business owners out there. Dan and myself, we actually support our team, incredibly with a lot of the business side of things when it comes to learning and advancing their skill sets. And Udemy is a course system that we really tap into. It's very cost effective and incredible tool to strengthen your team's abilities or hone in some of their skills. So as an individual out there, anybody watching, you want to do this, Udemy is a great place to go. And again, it's very inexpensive. And as a business leader or a business owner, you want to strengthen your team. This is a great tool to share with them and pay for to make sure that they're strengthening their abilities and honing in their skills.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So before I go into the other courses, I want to go back a little bit because I think we missed that a bit. And there are certain things that you need to have in your own self to be able to be a penetration tester and a security or cybersecurity expert. And these are crucial. Okay, these are crucial because of the way the industry is designed. So the first thing that I really want to talk about is passion. It all starts with passion. So maybe
Yeah.
Gladstone, you can put that on the screen. Passion is the first hacker tip. And the reason why I say that is, and what I mean by passion is that you need to love computers. You need to love the internet. You see this keyboard, you want to find ways to get into it. That's passion, man. That if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you want to keep on doing what you love.
And Dan, to that point, I'm glad you brought that up because we're very fortunate. We bring a lot of students into our organization.
Yes.
And the ones that typically, and it's not all the cases, we have some incredible people who've joined who I wish we could have kept on. It's just timing, etc., growth, as far as a business. But a lot of the time when we bring an individual on, it is around that passion point. It's skill set, it's knowledge base, but it's passion. It's the drive, the willingness, the want to learn more. Everybody doesn't, I don't care who you are, you're always learning and you're always growing. But if you're fresh coming out of school or you're still in school and you are very fortunate to be placed in an organization that you love, like for example with us at Rhino, we ask fundamental questions to the students. We ask what their visions are, what their goals are, what they want to accomplish, where do they want to end up in the industry, and then we help guide them. But what's really a defining point for us as a company is that passion. Are they going above and beyond? Are they
Yes.
asking more questions? Do we have to tell them, or are they asking to continue to
Yes.
grow? It's
Yeah.
really, really important. So if you're out there and you're wanting to do this, be proactive, ask questions, always be learning. It's really, really critical.
Yes, absolutely. The second hacker tip, and these are soft skills before we get into the hard skills, it is dedication. Because trust me on this, you're going to be spending hours and hours and hours learning. There's so much to learn. And not only after you get your certifications, your like a CET, for example, or CEH, certified ethical hacker certification, or like a pen test plus from CompTIA. Even after you get those and you start working, there's always something to learn and advance on and advance and advance. There's so many things that you can test. Like you can do Wi-Fi pen testing. There's certain skill set that you need to learn in respect to anything that has to do with Wi-Fi. Saying the same thing for networks, for example. The same thing for web pen testing is completely different. They're two completely different worlds, basically. The structure and the way you conduct the penetration testing, from recon to exploitation to POCs, which is the proof of concept, and the reporting. It's all the same fundamental stuff, but the tools that you use and the way you do things completely different from network to web, right? So dedication, you're going to put on a lot of hours. The third tip is knowledge. And this is where this stuff like Udemy and all of those training courses, the CTFs, the capture the flag events, and all of that come into place in terms of knowledge. So let's go back. Let me just share my screen so we go back, because this is so passionate.
You're not going to hear me talk a lot during this show because it's Dan's passion.
And we have so much to cover that like I'm just I'm getting ahead of myself here. All right, so so these are the basics. The basics is taking CompTIA plus A plus certifications, right? So you want to do also the Network Plus right after CompTIA A plus, and then get into the Security Plus. That covers pretty much all the basics in terms of IT, so information technology stuff, right? But then what you want to do, and maybe Gladstone, I have like what to do or learn this on the screen. So there you go. So computer and hardware, software, all of that stuff you need to learn. The networking part you have to learn. Then if you get into the other classes and courses and things like that, you need to learn things like Python, right? Very important. Python is a very important language because if you're going to be building scripts and all of that, you need to use Python. Another one is this one, and not too many people know about Linux. But if you're going to be running something like Kali Linux, I have one instance of Kali Linux here on my parallels, for example. You need to know how to work your terminal, right? How to do bash, how to do commands, how to get into the Linux and start doing things like, for example, nmapping and things like, Metasploit. This is all Linux based tools, right? So you need to know your Linux. Absolutely. So anything that has to do with how to get from point A to point B in Linux using the command, the CLI or the terminals, right? So that's super, super important.
Dan, question for you, for those people out there thinking about getting into this. It's pretty much all in stages, correct? Like, you don't have to be overwhelmed and bombarded with all this information. As you're learning and growing, you're building on that knowledge base, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So the first step, it will take you probably a couple of months, maybe 2 or 3 months, to learn the basics of information technology and IT. All the CompTIAs, Network A plus, and Security plus. That's the basic.
Right.
You need to know information technology, computers, software, networking from a general level. And what I mean by that is, if I ask you, for example, what is TCP port 53?
Right.
You have no clue. You need to know those ports by memory. Like, what's port 80? What's port 443? What's port 21? What's port 25? Like we're talking about SMTP, we're talking about FTP, we're talking about SSH port 22. So those things are like the basics of networking. Before you even get into the penetration testing, you need to know what are those ports and what are they used for, right? And what services are running through those ports. For example, port 22, they could be the OpenSSL, right? Open SSH, for example, that's running on that port. All of that stuff before you get into pen testing, right? So that's your basic knowledge. It will take you probably 3 to 5 months. By the way, you don't have to go to school for this. 99% of this stuff is either very, very cheap or free.
You just learn it by the time.
It's just your time. It's just your time. That's why I say dedication, man. Dedication. You got to learn the stuff, right? And these are hours and hours and hours of.
Dan, just an FYI, somebody's mentioning that our live feed is interrupted. So for anybody out there who's watching this, and if it is interrupted, I apologize. Hopefully it's going to kick back in, or it has kicked back in at this point.
Oh, no. If it's interrupted, then I recommend that you go to the YouTube channel. If you are in LinkedIn or Facebook, go to the YouTube channel and look for GetCyber on YouTube. And then you'll be able to see the uninterrupted channel in there. All right. So once you know the basics, right? Once you know the basics, then start exploring the other stuff like Linux. Learning Linux, learning Python, learning the basics about software development, right? So that's the second step, learning software, and then getting into things like, for example, website hacking, how to get started as a ethical hacker, and then before you even do more of the advanced stuff, right? So some of the other things that I have in here are this one here. Stay current. You need to know.
So important.
Yeah, you need to know what's going on in the world, right? So instead of in terms of stay current, I myself every day I go to news outlets. For example, the Hacker News, very, very good place to go and read about what's going on in the world, right? So you can see, for example, hackers exploit Mitel via voice over IP 0 days. Google says ISPs help attackers. In fact, and then this goes on and on and on, right? So every day there's something, Log4Shell still being exploited. I remember Log4Shell and Christmas. I don't know, Andrew, remember Log4Shell ruined our Christmas basically because we had to secure systems because of this little bug.
I remember.
So the Hacker News, this one is another one is the IT Security Guru, really good information. We have another one here from Tripwire, which is the state of security. You need to read how this thing works, how the whole entire hacking, scamming industry works, right? So very, very important to check out this stuff. Things like you can learn here too. So this is one of my accounts on the Hack the Box. And Hack the Box is a CTF. And for those of you who don't know what CTF stands for, is capture the flag type of environment where you can set up a machine. So if you go here, for example, you can set up your machine and sign up to this, and then try to hack it. Right, so try to hack it. They give you the objectives of what you need to do, and then you find ways to hack into it, either through GitHub, downloading scripts, going through Googling stuff, trying to find ways to learn by doing. Right, so this is super cool. I love Hack the Box. They have a really good setup, fairly inexpensive, also to be able to learn. They also provide a lot of learning. So that there is the Hack the Box Academy that you can get into, introduction to Linux fundamental. I haven't taken any courses here because I do pretty much everything either through Udemy or just plain old Google and YouTube. Right. But you can take courses and learn about hacking through this stuff, right? Yeah, so these are two other resources that are pretty good. It's pretty awesome. What else?
Dan, we got quite a. Did I get kicked out again?
You're still here. Yes.
Okay, I just got a thing across my screen. So just a heads up, there's a bunch of new people coming and joining right now. I don't know if Gladstone, you want to share those. Somebody from Portugal who loves hacking.
Yes.
I just want to, you know what, we have a lot of information to share, and this is very passionate to Dan and myself. Of course, it's our business, but it's really important. We really want to show our appreciation for everybody joining. Anything that we can share. Obviously, our vision is to create hackers that are ethical and that are out there to help people, help businesses, etc. But obviously, this is a knowledge-based show for you guys to learn and grow, and hopefully it gives you some tips where to basically find careers in the cybersecurity space and the hacking space.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. All the things that you need to do is set up your own tools. Okay, so in my case, for example, I have you got to set up your own testing stuff. So you can use VirtualBox, you can use Parallels if you have a Mac computer. These are all virtualization tools, right? So you can set up a Windows machine together with an Ubuntu, together with a Metasploitable, for example. You can download Metasploitable 2 or Metasploitable 3 from the internet, and then use that. So let me just show you Metasploitable 2. So, oh man, I'm telling you, there's so much to talk about. So
we got to keep them in check.
Yeah, so Metasploitable 2 basically is an operating system that is on purpose is made vulnerable, and it has a whole whack of vulnerabilities. So you install it using your hypervisor, for example, or your VirtualBox. If I go to VirtualBox from Oracle, download, right? So right here, there it is. So VirtualBox comes in, like Windows for Mac OS and for Linux, right? So you can download this bad boy, and then you can set up different operating systems on one of them. So what I use basically, I use my Parallels desktop. So you can see here, for example, I'm running right now an Ubuntu user OS and a Kali OS. I deleted my Windows, but I can create a Windows anytime. So I click here, go here, and then I can choose, for example, a Windows 11 and then continue, and I just create my computer in there. And then I can use that for hacking purposes, right? So set up your own tools, your own lab, right? So for example, here I have my Kali system. And Kali is a really good operating system. And let me just power this. Let me go here. And I created a little cheat sheet here. Right. There you go. So Kali Linux is a really good operating system based on Debian, right? So based on Debian, that it's used for penetration testing, and it's used for ethical hacking and all of that stuff, right? So this is it. This is Kali Linux. It's very user friendly because what they did is very smart. They took offensive security, took a Linux distro and transformed it into a penetration testing Linux distro. So this is a computer, right? And it comes with all the tools, right? So if I click on here, then you can look for information gathering tools, vulnerability analysis tools, web application analysis tools, database, password cracking, wireless, all of that stuff already comes with all that stuff, right? So if you are beginning, and this is a beginner OS, when you get into more advanced stuff, then you'll be using Gentoo, or you'll be using Fedora or things like that, where you can create your own things. This is really good for beginners. Download Kali Linux, get it set up, or you can also use Parrot Linux or even Ubuntu. Ubuntu came out with Ubuntu 22.04 LTS just not too long ago, like probably a month ago. Freaking software is amazing. I have a video on that if you want to check it out as well. Like if you go to my channel, this is this GetCyber channel. Sign up. So if you go right now, just make sure you sign up. And I have a video on Ubuntu 22.04 in here, how to install it in your virtual machine. So if you want to check out Ubuntu, it's very nice. I love the interface and everything. All right, any questions out there?
We have a few people saying hello. Furious says hello. I'm not sure. Gladstone to throw them up as they come up would be great.
So love the name, Fierce Furin.
There we go. Beautiful. Hello.
Who else do we have online? Eduardo.
My favorite.
Kubuntu is actually really good. It's a very nice interface too with the GNOME interface. I like Ubuntu. Ubuntu is very user friendly. That's the thing. So Kali Linux is more geared towards like command and terminal work and stuff like that. Ubuntu is more kind of like the normal everyday user that wants to use an operating system with a GUI, right? So it's a bit different. So what I do usually is I set up Ubuntu, I work on Ubuntu, and I set up the tools. So for example, penetration test framework, so PTF on Ubuntu, and then I have both the best worlds, both of the user everyday thing world, and then the penetration testing part, right? So I like that. I like that quite a bit. Yeah. So knowing your tools is extremely important, guys. You need to know your tools. Oscar Garrido has a question. He says, "Do you need to be insured to do ethical hacking?" That's a good question.
That's a good question. So as a business, I'll answer from a business side of things. Absolutely. I mean, you need insurance to protect yourself, to protect your integrity, to protect what you're doing. You need authorization from the clients, written authorization. Plus, again, you want to protect your business and what you're doing. Do you need insurance to do ethical hacking as far as an individual? And it's more of like a gray hat scenario. Where it's like you're not supposed to be doing it, you're not really asking for permission, and you're hoping to get business from it, or it's kind of a gray area. To be funny enough, it's kind of a gray area, Oscar. But as a business, absolutely 100%. Make sure you're insured, make sure you're protected, make sure your team is protected, and make sure what you're doing and what you're putting out there has you have that in place.
Yes. So before you do, and that's why I'm telling you, you got to set up your own labs. So if you go to my channel, I teach you how to set up your own lab, right? So I have two labs. I have a DDoS lab, right? And then I have also a where is it? I think this one is the web penetration lab using an outdated version of WordPress. So those are good labs because the thing is, they're enclosed in your own environment. So if you break things, if you exploit things, if you're like, yeah, I broke it, man. If you're one of those, it's your stuff, man. It's your stuff. Nobody's gonna tell you, hey, like you don't go to jail. Nothing happens, right? So what I've done is, and because of this, I've been out of internet for a day or two because I bought, okay, so usually, when you have internet in your home, you get a Soho router from Bell or Rogers or whatever your ISP is. They give you a Soho router. It comes with the firewall, the router, and the switch all in one, right? So it's just one thing, right? Forget about that. Get rid of that. Grab that thing, toss it in the garbage. I'm serious. It's useless. It's useless. What you need to do is go into Amazon, and I'm gonna put a few links down below in this video on Amazon if you wanna purchase. Go into Amazon, get a proper firewall, get a proper router, get a proper switch. Ubiquity, they have a really beautiful line of very inexpensive routers and switches and firewalls. The USG, for example, or the Dream Machine, amazing. I love it. Set that up. By learning, CompTIA A Plus and Network Plus, you're going to be able to learn how to set up networks, right? And you set up your network. So in here, in my home, for example, I have different networks. I have one for my office. I have one for the Wi-Fi of my family. I can set up my own networks, and then I can destroy them if I want, right? So one day I was using router exploit, right? And I was going into, like hacking my network. I did end mapping, the whole thing, open VAS on my own network. Then I did router exploited my router, and I had no internet for like a day because I completely destroyed my own thing, right? So, but that's what you got to do. Don't go around.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, I was going to say there's a gentleman made a comment, and it is relevant because it's true, because it's when you start doing penetration tests, you're getting a lot more deep into people's networks, etc. So he's saying need to master encoding for penetration.
Yes. Yeah. Master coding if you are into like software and web development, or web penetration test. It really helps if you know how to code PHP, for example, Perl or Python. If you know your object-oriented coding, ASP.NET, for example, things like that. Oh man, you have such a big advantage.
Exactly.
Such a big advantage because you know how code works, and you can use that for penetration testing. Absolutely, 100%. But if you are a network, if you want to get into network penetration test, sometimes the software or the coding skills they're not as important as PowerShell. You need to know PowerShell. That's how Microsoft works, right? All your PowerShell, your command line interfacing, scripting, that is super important, right? So if you're in the network, into network ethical hacking, right? So there is a little bit of a difference in there. And the thing is, where do you want to go? Do you want to go into the web realm of things, or do you want to go into the network realm of things? Those are the two big areas when it comes to ethical hacking. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. Any other questions? We are here to answer your questions.
I love the interaction, though. We got a lot of new faces and a lot of new people today, so that's fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. It's great.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Then, like you take things like advanced ethical hacking, right? So, and that's where things like, for example, Metasploit comes into place, and Meterpreter, and how to create reverse shells, for example, how to create exploits, payloads, how to create a Word document with a macro that is infected and send it to somebody and they get hacked, and then you can get a reverse shell. How can you, a reverse shell is basically establishing a connection to a computer and having control of that computer, and then pivot from there to a network device like a router or a server and things like that, right? So those things are a bit more than the basic. They're a bit more advanced, but they're so beautiful to do. I love doing this stuff. Going back to whether you need insurance or not, if you're out there and you don't have permission from one of your clients to do any probing, I'm talking about end mapping, I'm talking about like doing open bass scan and stuff like that, don't do it.
Yeah.
Do not do that. Very important, because your IP can always be traced. If you're a beginner ethical hacker, it will be hard for you to be able to disguise your IP address. Okay. And you can get into a lot of hot waters. You can get into trouble for this stuff, right? It has happened a few times. You don't want to bring, you don't want to do that kind of stuff, right?
No.
So use your own tools. Tools that I use for the role. There's different types of tools. They all have a different. This is what I did. I'm like, this is my brain dump. 5 minutes before the show, I'm like, okay, I'm going to write down the tools that I use. They all have different objectives. 60% of the penetration test, it's reconnaissance and finding out information, to believe it or not. Then there is the part where there is the exploitation, and for that you have to create your vector, how you're going to exploit the system, right? So and then you do the exploitation. But 60% is all research, believe it or not. So things that I use for research are Maltego is a really good tool for finding out OSINT. So OSINT is open source intelligence, right? Spiderfoot is great. I love Spiderfoot. Spiderfoot, I don't know if you guys use Spiderfoot at all. Put it on the comments. I like it because you can find usernames, emails. You can find anything you want from open source, everything out there, handles, and potential things where you can get into, right? Any other questions? Any questions out there? If you have questions, make sure you put them in the chat. Then we get into the analysis. So end mapping and mass scan, for example, inside of a network, you're doing end map. You're finding out end map. Basically, what it gives you is what's active, what IP addresses out of your entire 254 available IP addresses in one subnet. What are the ones that are active, and then inside of not just what is active, but also what ports do you have open on those IP addresses, and then seeing if you have unsecure ports open. We usually do this, and when we do this for our clients, we find port 20, port 21, so FTP, port 23, telnet open, and telnet is being basically that was taken down like 20 years ago, right? If you have it open, that means it makes you vulnerable, right? So you need to know your ports and the stuff. So I use Nmap quite a bit. I use OpenVAS a lot. OpenVAS is a great tool, and this is it's free. All of the stuff that I'm giving you is free. I don't use Nexus. Nexus is you have to pay like $5,000 per license and stuff. The only thing, one of the tools that I do use that is not free is Burp Suite for hacking websites, because the Enterprise Edition or the Pro Edition is really good because it has the active and the passive scanning. So just like Zap, it does passive and active scanning on the target, as opposed to you having to go out there and use the different Burp Suite tools. So Andrew, is this going over your head already?
Yeah, you know what? It's not. I mean, it is for sure. There's no question. I mean, your brain is like compared to. I mean, and I know you're passionate about it. I guess I was just going to say, like, there's about 10 minutes left, and I know this is about becoming an ethical hacker or getting into this industry. I mean, is there maybe some tips? Because this is getting really into the weeds now as far as some of the technical stuff. Is there some maybe surface level things for those individuals out there who want, what's the next step to get them in? I know you showed the initial email, the initial website at the beginning and stuff. So, but maybe some tips on how to get into what they should be looking at, what they should be doing, maybe what they should be doing to reach out to cybersecurity companies to ask if there's, apprenticeships available, schools they could attend. I know you talked about the IT knowledge base at the beginning. Maybe I think That's what I'm
Okay,
thinking.
perfect. So yeah, so these are some of the tools that you need to learn. These are the basic tools. Maybe Metasploit, even the basics of Metasploit, you should learn. Social engineering toolkit, Burp Suite, SAP, OWASP, SQL map. These are all the basic tools that you should learn. If you get into password cracking, for example, Hashcat, Hydra, John the Ripper, these are really good. Wi-Fi, then you use something like AirCrack and G for like a man in the middle attacks, for example, and snooping or sniffing. You use better cap. Same with Wireshark, Cloudflare, Cloudflare if you're trying to hack Cloudflare and things like that. All of these they're all designed for different things, but they're really important that you learn, right? However, if you're looking into getting into, okay, hold on, we have a question from Eduardo. He asks, if I'm performing a pen test on a website, can my internet provider detect that I'm doing and report me to the authorities? Very hard to do that. Yeah, the ISP they won't care if you're doing any ethical hacking or anything like that. It won't. It's hard to find out. But if let's say the client or whoever the company gets hacked, and they go to the authorities, it can backtrace to your IP address, right? And then you get in trouble, right?
I think that goes back to what you were saying, Dan, in regards to doing your own platform, doing it from home, practice, study, do your stuff, break your own stuff, and then do it ethically. Like get permission from the client. Work for a reputable organization, or if you're going to do it yourself, be reputable. Ask for permission. Do all the right things, because it's an incredible, as you alluded to at the beginning, it's an incredible industry with a shortage of people. There's a high demand. You can be very successful in it. So to go the right way versus the wrong way, we don't recommend that in any way, shape, or form. It's actually taboo. We're in business, and we're all about the ethical aspect and partnering with our organizations and companies to help protect them. But there's a huge demand. So do it right. And if you do it right, you're going to have great success.
Yes. So if we talk about how to get into it, right? So we saw, I showed you the things that you have to take, right? So I show you the tools. I show you the videos that you got to take, right? So I show you, for example, Hack the Box, right? I show you that you have to stay current. You need to know cybersecurity. You need to know what's going on in the world, what zero-day attacks are there, what all of that stuff, right? And then once you get the knowledge, apply for internships. Every cybersecurity company out there hires interns, including us. Yep. We hire interns all the time, right? So intern you learn the ropes of cybersecurity, learn the ropes by shadowing the experts, by shadowing the people that actually do it through an internship. And you know what? Unfortunately, just like in the medical industry, if you are a nurse and you're doing your practicum and all of that, you don't get paid for that. It's the same thing here. If you really want to learn, you won't get paid. I'm sorry, but that's kind of like the thing, right?
You know what, Dan, I'm so glad you touched on that, because the reality of it is you get what you put into something, right? And not all organizations out there, they could be built.
Oh, you're cutting off. Andrew cut off again. So yes,
corporations, obviously.
Andrew, you're cutting off, buddy.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're cutting off. So yeah, so go ahead.
Am I back? All I was saying is, don't be scared to reach out to an organization and ask to be an intern. Ask to see if you can shadow. Ask if you can work for a month or two. Not at any cost. Invest in yourself, and they're going to be investing in you. And there's a good chance, if you have that passion, you have that knowledge, they're going to probably keep you on long term. So don't be scared to basically go out and ask for that, because by being mentored by an organization that does this full time, it's going to strengthen your skill. It's going to enhance your passion. You're going to hopefully find an organization and learn so much that's going to strengthen, again, your skill set. And then that client or that company that's basically been teaching you, there's a good chance they're probably going to hire you long term if you build a really good rapport for them. So invest in yourself by asking if they can invest in you through their time.
Yes. And if you're good at it, you'll get hired. Absolutely. So. If you're good, you'll get hired. for sure. There's a shortage. So, cybersecurity companies, they are looking for this kind of individuals that they're motivated, they're dedicated, they have passion, and they go like, you know what, I'll work for free, man. I'll spend three months working for free in an internship so I can get in. That's super important. If you want to go another route, because there is another route, is you can become a freelancer. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
good point.
yeah. So build your own website. So there's two ways of becoming a freelancer. You build your own website, even if it's just a one pager, like freelance penetration tester, right? And then go out to companies that are smaller in size, not billion-dollar companies, and ask and tell them that, these are your services that you're providing, and try to do work for them and then get paid for that. So it is a business, right? So a freelancing business. And the other way that you can do it is through bounty hunters, right? Like bounty hunting. Bounty hunting for cybersecurity. So there's a few out there, and maybe
there's some big ones.
Yeah, so I can show you some of them. Maybe HackerOne is one of them. So let me just go into the website here. I'm going to show you my screen. There you go. Okay, here it is. So this is HackerOne, right? So HackerOne is a bounty hunting program where, like if you're good at it, if you get good at it, you can actually get money by hacking using this website. And some of the bounties are like $5,000, $10,000. So there's a lot of people. There is a lot of a lot of demand for this stuff. You can get into this, but I think in order to get into this, you need more. You need to know more. You need more experience and more advanced. 100%. So I would definitely recommend the first one is internship at a company, 100%. The second one, be a freelancer. Be a freelancer and try to get small jobs to learn how
building.
to do.
Cybersecurity is a lot of it to do with trust, right? So I mean, the more trust you have, the more experience you have, the more opportunities you're going to have, basically. And as you grow, you're going to be able to tap into those resources and tap into that experience. And again, like I said, it's trust. So the more recognizable you are, the bigger the organization you're a part of, the more clients that you have behind you, the more experience, it's going to help elevate you to the next level.
Yes. And one last thing that I want to show you is, and this is a little bit of self, like a promotion here. Go into GetCyber and subscribe to my channel. So I started this channel 8 months ago. We already have 4,500 subscribers, and I have videos all the time. And I have some really good videos. For example, how to use OpenVAS, for example, GVM, which is incredible vulnerability software that you can install on your own system, Linux system. Then I have things like, for example, how to create reverse shells. I have a DDoS in here too, a video, and I can play a little bit. It's pretty awesome. So now we're gonna launch the attack, okay? And so what you do here is just type in Python hog.py. There you'll see how to launch an attack on your own stuff. As you can see, I'm using 10.0.2.15, which is one of my internal IP addresses that I created in my NAT. Then I have things like, a little more theoretical. So what is network scanning and what is Nmap? So this is a course, quick course on Nmap, right? A tutorial. And then I have, for example, labs, how to set up your own lab, as I mentioned before. So I do have all these videos, and I'm creating videos as we go. So make sure you sign up to GetCyber on YouTube and also on other social media. So that's it. That's it for today, man. That was so much info. So much info. And I think Andrew Summerton is gone again. His internet every week now, it keeps on crapping out, man.
I'm back.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I think it was a pretty good show. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in there. And I hope to see you next Friday. Oops, wrong one there. Next Friday, 12 o'clock, live on YouTube. Have a good
Bye,
one,
everybody.
everybody. Cheers. Thank you, Changiz. Have a good one. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Sean, see ya, buddy. Oscar Garrido, have a great weekend.